Press.
All right, I'm going to call the Thursday, February 19th business meeting of Narberth Borough Council to order. Jean, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Stop. Call the roll.
President Bush.
Here.
Vice President Rickards.
Here.
Councilmember Simonson is absent today. Councilmember Borough.
Here.
Councilmember Spear.
Here.
Councilmember Badini.
Here.
Councilmember Stratton.
Here.
And Mayor Dana Edwards.
Here.
All right, I have no comments today. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, just 4 quick ones. Number one, after the discussion around ICE and all that stuff, I went and had a conversation with Rabbi Shraga Sherman about sort of extending the olive branch because it was employee there that was part of that, and we had a very good conversation, and he relayed to his shul the next morning on Saturday, our how we felt about it, and he felt very supported, so very strong. Number 2, had an interdisciplinary meeting at Beth Am, Israel about ICE and those sorts of things with different people from Montgomery County, different religious leaders, political leaders. It's good to see that everybody was acknowledging the work that we had done. They're doing lots of similar things. I think I'll just leave it at that to let you know it's sort of a community outreach and engagement with different people. The Montco traffic study is due February 24th for those folks who want. Maybe some other people would talk about that, but I thought it would be important. And then finally, the Maluga opening. Hopefully everybody's got their invitations. It's March 3rd from 5 to 7. It's moved from February 23rd. So that'll be the ribbon cutting, grand opening, all of that. Very exciting times. And if you haven't seen it, there are plenty of photos of large groups going to Maluga.
I'm down for hummus.
Down with some hummus. That's all this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Stops.
So the big news from this past month obviously has been the snowstorm response. So just wanted to give a big shout out as we have for a while, but Jeff Eldon and his public works team have done an incredible job. So we've just been navigating resident calls, concerns, complaints. Our code enforcement team has been out to address walkability concerns for folks who haven't cleared sidewalks. So we did issue some citations for that, and we just encourage everybody to keep an eye out for neighbors who might be a little bit challenged in clearing snow, because we have another snow event coming this weekend. So we're expecting, I believe, 2 to 5 inches Sunday night. So please shovel your sidewalks. If you have neighbors who are away or who are unable to shovel their sidewalks, please lend a helping hand. That would be much appreciated. Otherwise, wanted just to echo Mayor Edwards' comments on the Montgomery Avenue corridor study. So the survey is due by February 24th. So thank you to everybody who has submitted that. We did attend a kickoff meeting with Farm Marion, and I know a number of council members were there and community members. It was a packed house. So I think it's going to be really great to see what comes next from that. Wanted to give a shout out as well again to our public works teams. We were the runner-up in the Delaware Valley Trust Innovation Award for our office vestibule. So cheers to that. So recognized for that one.
Jefferson should have won.
I would love to know what won.
That's true. We should get a photo of what did win top prize, because I think the vestibule is pretty top notch.
It's awesome.
Otherwise, we're already getting folks coming to us, coordinating on our various upcoming community events. So as always, we're really excited to be able to assist and sponsor and co-host where possible all of our great events coming up this year. So we've talked with the 4th of July committee, Narberth Run, Pride at the Park, and a couple other folks. The other thing is that we've been busy working on our grant program, so that's on our agenda later today. So we've been busy drafting all of the narrative for that. Otherwise, just trucking along with the audit. We're pretty much done with all of our end of year reports and Q4 reports. And then we have next week our Planning Commission open house on Thursday, February 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. So this is going to be led by Adam Shantz, who's our MCPC planner. And we're going to be reviewing the discussions that Planning Commission has been having over the past few months about the 5B and 4A districts, as well as general information about housing affordability, kind of more generally. So we're looking forward to having a good open house for that. So lots of exciting things, keeping staff busy, keeping admin busy, keeping public works busy. We were commenting how quickly the year has already seemed to have gone by. This is supposed to be our slow season, at least in admin, and it's been quite busy. So we're grateful for all of the things that we're working on.
You. Let's move to public comment. So as a reminder, it's limited to 3 minutes, and please give your name and your address. There's nobody in the room to offer public comment, so folks online, if you'd like to unmute yourself, if you'd like to raise your hand, and then Maggie, you can unmute and call on someone.
Yeah, go ahead, Carol Marie.
Good morning or good evening, Carol Marie Scanlon, Sayot Avenue. I have a couple questions. Firstly, will the open house meeting with the Planning Commission and Council on February 26th be a formal meeting where people can stand at a microphone and ask questions and state concerns of Council and Planning Commission? Or is it an informal walkabout meeting where there's going to be no formal public comment taken? And will that meeting be recorded? Next question. Go. You want to answer that one?
Why don't you finish finish what you're going to say, and then we'll respond.
All right. And then I'd like to ask if you or any members of council have spoken to any prospective developer for 201 Sabine, and have you or any members of council spoken to any prospective developers for 198 Elmwood, which is the old Baptist church? And my last question is, what are the topics being discussed in executive session?
I'm sorry. Tonight's executive session is about a personnel matter. I'm trying to think about, so 198 Elmwood, the developer, the current owner of that site came before council 6 years ago at this point. So I don't think, Cindy, were you on council at that time? So Cindy would have been there when that original presentation was developed, as part of the land development process. But otherwise, I don't think, as far as I know, nobody has spoken to a developer, and certainly, again, as far as I know, no one has reached out to I'll speak for myself. I haven't spoken to any developers about 201 Sabine and 198 Elmwood. Some of the council members were on the planning commission at the time. Some of them were on council 6 years ago. So I don't have a very good answer for you there. I'm sorry.
But there have been any recent...
Council has made no official outreach, and there's been no formal outreach of any kind, and nobody's talked to me. And I'll have Maggie answer your questions about the open house.
Okay, let me go back to, in the past 6 months, have any members of council spoken to developers about 198 Elmwood?
I don't know, and
I mean, there was a builder that came in to speak with our zoning officer months ago.
Over a year. It was a year ago.
It was over a year ago. But then that was the last issue that I'm aware of, that there was any conversation about that property for putting some houses there. It's still owned by the same property owner that has the plan approved.
yeah.
But there have not been any, from staff level, so I'm assuming not from a council level, any significant discussions with anybody. And again, that was not really a developer, it was someone, a home builder. But that's been silent for over a year at this point.
Typically, they would reach out to the planning commission. I mean, it's not, 198 Elmwood is not borough owned, so they wouldn't be talking to us generally. They'd be talking to the current property owner or to our zoning officer. They were asking about what could be built there. They wouldn't come to council. I haven't reached out to anybody.
No, I guess maybe piggybacking on that, is anything going on with the center of town and the development there? Those plans have been approved, but it doesn't seem like much is going on with the center of town.
That is completely up to the developer. They have 1 or 2 steps they need to do before they could proceed with their plan, but it's pretty, pro forma, like, we're not really standing in their way of going ahead and developing. You would have to take, it's up to the developer. When you file a plan, it's good for 5 years. So they have a lot of flexibility on whether when and whether they're going to do this project. And
Is council
I would
trying
like get some more
to push it
clarity.
along? Is council trying to push it along? Because downtown is looking pretty shabby.
I think we would all like to see businesses in those buildings and more people downtown. So we are limited in what we can do. It is up to the developer when they commence their plan ultimately. So let me go back to your open house, and then I'm going to move on to the next.
Yeah, so the open house is not going to be recorded. This is not a meeting, a formal meeting in that sense. It's an opportunity for folks to come. So it's going to be more like a tabling event. So we're going to have easels and tables, and feedback will be collected through that manner. So opportunities to take a look at maps and tables, provide written comment, verbal comment, general discussion, but there's no formal presentation. There is no recording of the meeting. So this is something that is really for an in-person dialogue for folks to come and learn about what's been discussed at Planning Commission, hear some facts and data, and provide feedback and responses to various prompts. So I know MCPC is drafting various kind of feedback opportunities to ask folks and get their opinions. So we do really highly encourage everybody to attend in person, since this will not have an online component.
So I guess I'm wondering, I'm hearing people would like to actually stand at a microphone, ask a question like in a public comment forum, and have feedback from council and planning commission, rather than just kind of a walkabout and shake hands and drink tea and eat cupcakes.
I think we've heard also that people want something less formal and would like to be able to talk for more than, say, 3 minutes. So that's what we have in mind for this. There will be plenty of other opportunities to come before council, just like this, and ask questions of us, and also planning commission. I mean, they regularly take public comment at their meetings as well, in similar formats. So this is what we're going with, and you'll be able to write comments if you want something more formal, but you'll also be able to speak to people for more than 3 minutes. So that may be an advantage. But speaking of which, your time has expired. Anybody else waiting online? Anybody else online wish to make a public comment? Okay. Public comment is now closed. Next agenda item is probably the consent agenda. Yeah.
Move to approve consent agenda items A through E.
Second. Okay. Any discussion of the consent agenda items? Okay, we are voting on consent agenda items A through E. All in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. Let's move on to our first consideration item, 9A. Planning Commission and EAC membership.
Move to approve adoption of ordinance 1068, changes to Planning Commission EAC membership.
Second.
Okay.
This generally increases the number of the persons on the Planning Commission to 7, reduces the Environmental Advisory Committee to 5 people from 7, and it creates an alternate position for the Park and Rec Board.
Okay. And this has been advertised, so we're not voting to adopt it. This
Correct.
is a result of a lot of discussion over the last year to try to sort out some of the boards and commissions and then get them to the right size. Any other discussion of this ordinance? As I said, we've talked about this many times earlier. Okay, let's vote on ordinance 1068, which changes to the Planning Commission and EAC membership, and adding an alternate to Parks and Rec. All those in favor? Okay, it is unanimous. 9B.
I move that Borough Council adopt Resolution 2026-04, Police Advisory Committee.
Second.
All right, who wants to summarize here?
Sure. So the original creation of the PAC was done through resolution back in 2022, and then there was a modification to the membership and qualifications of members in a charge that was adopted in December 2024. The charge, though, isn't formally codified through the resolution. It's just kind of existing outside of the resolution. So what we decided to do for the sake of clarity and document consolidation is we just wanted to adopt a new resolution that incorporates the original resolution of creation of the PAC with the changes to the membership that was drafted in that charge that was adopted. So now we have one document that covers everything as opposed to two separate disparate documents. So this is really just a cleanup effort for clarity.
And Public Health and Safety Committee voted to approve it.
All right. Any discussion of the PAC resolution? All right, we're voting on resolution 2026-04 on the Police Advisory Committee. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. All right, grant submission. Exciting.
Move that Borough Council adopt Resolution 2026-05, Monco 2040 grant application in support of the Elm Grove Park pedestrian bridge project.
Okay.
Second.
All right.
All right, so this is the grant that we're working on that I mentioned earlier in my manager's report. So the Monco 2040 grant is a county grant sponsored by the County Planning Commission and the county commissioners to give money towards projects that advance the goals of the Monco 2040 comprehensive plan. So this is a really great funding opportunity for us. The maximum grant award is $250,000. We do have a 20% match. The total project cost is about almost $466,000. That's inclusive of demolition, so it's like a four-part thing. Demolition, construction of the new bridge, stream bank restoration and stabilization, and then installation of a stormwater management facility at the end of Elm Grove. So we're looking to depave about 20 feet of the end of Elm Grove to put in a stormwater feature there. That's really advantageous for us because that means that we get to improve water volume and rate control at the end of the street and water quality. So it'll capture that sediment-laden runoff coming off of the street before it dumps into the east branch of the Indian Creek. So it's a really great water quality feature. The grant application requires that we have a funding resolution by council. This essentially is council acknowledging that we will commit our minimum 20% grant match. So like I said, we have a minimum 20% grant match. We are of course also seeking DCNR funding, which is a later funding cycle in about a month or so. That project cost is $100,000 total. So we are meeting our minimum 25%. So the $250,000 from Monco 2040, if we're awarded the full amount, would cover about just over 50% of the total project cost. And then our portion is about 25%, and then the DCNR, again, separate grant, but if we get that, that would be another 20%. So we need our 20% to Monco 2040 is the moral of the story. And if we don't have the DCNR grant, then that increases the match amount. So we approved the cost of this in our budget for the year. So we did allocate $200,000 in both 2026 and 2027 for this grant project. So we do have the funds dedicated in our capital, our operating capital, towards this project. So we do have the funds secured, and this resolution essentially affirms that we have the funding and that we intend to use it for this project, and we meet our minimum match requirement for it.
All right. And we'll have a similar resolution for the other grants as well?
We will also have a similar funding resolution. So as I had explained, I think in an earlier meeting, our grant strategy for this project is Monco 2040 grant, which has a maximum match award or maximum grant award of $250,000. Our DCNR C2P2 grant, which has a maximum grant award of $100,000. And then we're also seeking the low volume road grant from the County Conservation District for the construction of the stormwater management facility, which doesn't seem to have a maximum grant award. So we're going to seek full funding for the portion of the project that is the stormwater management facility, which is about $65,000, $70,000. With that all told, if we get all of the grant awards, that means that the actual out-of-pocket cost for the borough is only about, let's see, $115,000.
Okay. Well, this
And
time, there's no maximum on those low volume road grants, huh? So I guess we should reconfigure some of our plans and try to put some of those giant basins on low volume roads. Take advantage of that.
And so the 115 actually is just assuming the MACO 2040 grant and the DCNR grant. So if we also get the low volume road grant, that 115 then drops down by that $65,000. So we're then we go from a $400,000 project to a $40,000 out of pocket cost project if we get this grant award. So this is well worth our time and effort to put these grant applications together. So we're optimistic for a positive outcome. Which would mean then that money that we've allocated for this project is able to be reinvested in other projects throughout the borough.
All right. Any other questions? All right, fingers crossed. Let's vote to approve Resolution 2026-05 for the MONCO 2040 grant submission. All those in favor? All right, it is unanimous. Okay, 9D.
I move to approve Resolution 2026-06, expressing appreciation for borough staff's efforts in managing the recent snowstorm.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so this is coming from us, obviously. We were in recognition of the massive amount of time and work that our staff has been putting in, many hours. And how many truckloads did you move, Jeff? You put that in the report.
With our trucks,
Yeah.
well over 100.
Yeah, so that was after the plowing. That was just loading it into a truck to get it off of the road entirely after it had been put on the side so that the roads would be more accessible. It's even after the plowing, so that's a heck of a lot of work. I mean, I experienced that personally because my road has a little corner that the borough owns, so we have our nice 8-foot pile of snow off in the corner where the truck went. But you can still see it on Haverford as well, the piles of snow. So I'm just going to read the resolution aloud since there have been some changes to the version that's in the packet. So, resolution of the Borough of Narberth, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, recognizing borough staff's response to the winter storm of January 2026. Whereas the Borough of Narberth experienced roughly 9.5 inches of snowfall and freezing rain on January 25th and 26th, and whereas Bureau of Public Works staff worked throughout the entire night to clear and salt borough streets, helping ensure public safety and providing a high level of service for Narberth residents, and whereas even after the storm ended, Borough Public Works staff continued their snow removal efforts, with staff working overnight in the week following the winter storm to continue removing snow from impacted areas of the borough, and whereas the Narberth 2040 Comprehensive Plan includes Goal F1 to practice effective communication and fiscal responsibility across all aspects of borough operations, and Goal C6 to maintain all borough-owned property in a state of good repair. And whereas the Narberth Borough Council believes attracting and retaining a talented and dedicated borough staff is critical to meeting these comprehensive plan goals and to providing a consistent high level of service to Narberth residents, and whereas the goals and objectives that the Narberth Borough Council adopted on May 16, 2024 include the following high priority objective: maintain a stable borough staff which is happy, efficient, and proud to work here, foster an atmosphere of trust. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Narberth Borough Council officially recognizes the outstanding level of service provided before, during, and after the recent winter storm by Public Works staff, including Public Works Director Jeff Feldman, Pat Lane, Kevin Kennedy, Mike Kennedy, and Maury Mead, as well as Borough Manager Maggie Dobbs and Police Chief John String. Be it further resolved that the Narberth Borough Council officially declares that borough staff did an exemplary job in their response to the recent winter storm. That's the resolution. Any comments? Anybody want to add anything? All right. Once again, thanks to the department, and let's vote on the resolution. All those in favor? All right. That's okay. It's unanimous, and it's extra unanimous because Dana wants to express his. All right. Thank you. Let's move to the next item, 9E.
Move to approve certificate of payment number 2 sidewalk project.
Second.
Okay. Maggie, Jeff, who wants to cover this one?
Yeah, I can take this. I just lost my place.
Sure.
Okay. So this is the request for payment. This is the second and final payment for the sidewalk project. So this was completed at the end of last year. So this was the sidewalk replacement around the block surrounding Narberth Park and Borough Hall. If you recall, we had authorized this project and the contractor had recommended some additional work. And we said, yeah, we'll take a look at it, and we walked the site and took a look at what they had wanted to add to the project, and we said we agree with part of this but not all of this, and then proceeded with the authorization of funds. So we authorized the bid docs, so there was a discrepancy in the payment amount that was authorized and what the bid docs actually included the quantities. So the bid docs were correct, that was what was authorized by council, and because of the kind of compromise in the work added, there was just some negotiations with the contractor about what the total cost of work is. So this is money that is in fact owed to the contractor. It differs slightly from the total amount that you saw previously, but the quantities are correct and were included in the original bid documents. So this is just a correction to account for that, but this money is owed to the contractor. Pannoni has been working with them to come to an agreement on what the total cost, total quantity is. And so this is the true and correct, and so the final payment here will close out this project so we can move on with this year's CIP projects.
Okay. Any questions? All right, let us vote on the certificate for payment number 2 for the sidewalk project. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Town clock repair, more exciting things.
I move that Borough Council authorize the expenditure of capital funds for the town clock repair project.
Second.
Okay,
Okay, I'll turn this one over to Jeff. So I will note, Infrastructure Committee did review this. Their meeting on January 27th and recommended it. But Jeff, why don't you go ahead and tell us?
Yeah, so the town clock, as we all know, is a very, prominent fixture downtown. 2 of the 4 faces have been out of operation for the past several years. Last year it was approved in the capital plan to restore the clock. After tireless efforts reaching out to neighboring townships, public works departments, trying to source additional contractors or vendors to fix it, the only one we were able to obtain is actually the company that installed the clock. So what they are asking for is a 50% deposit in the amount of $7,625 to order all of their parts. That will put us in their schedule for probably early to mid-spring to get out here. And once they do that, our staff will repaint the clock and just kind of begin revamping downtown.
okay.
I don't remember when the clock was installed. Anybody? Jeff, do you
It
know?
was like the 90s or?
No.
Surprisingly recently.
It was not that long.
Yeah, it would be 2002, 2003, something like that.
Really? That's that
Yep.
recently?
It's about 22 years, okay.
Oh, I thought it was a little older than that.
The
Okay.
guy who sold the Borough clock is the one who gave us the quote to repair it. And he has since retired, so
Okay.
it's been in for 20 plus years.
All
Got it.
right.
Thank
So
you.
that's the expected lifespan, I guess, is 20 years. One of these clocks.
It served well, with the newer upgrades, everything will be LED, electronic, it'll just be nice, it'll be simpler for us to reset the times on it.
So it won't be the standard clock. What's it gonna
So
look like?
it will be the same, same face, same hand, same
Okay.
everything.
Okay.
Just
Good.
inside will be.
The mechanisms inside will be more modern.
More up to date, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Yeah, I'll be excited to have that project. I rely on that clock to catch the trains and things. I have to look at the time. It's easier than pulling on your phone. Any other comments? Okay. Let's vote to authorize the capital expenditure for the town clock repair. All those in favor? Okay. It's unanimous. 9G, security cameras.
Move that Borough Council authorize expenditure of capital funds for an additional 6 security cameras in and around Borough Hall.
Second.
Okay.
So this was another project that was identified in our capital plan. It was reviewed by Infrastructure Committee at their meeting on the 27th and was recommended. The cameras, so the CIP was envisioning a more full and complete revamp of our security cameras altogether. We were able to work with the vendor and got confirmation that our existing hardware and software is still valid for another couple of years and has capacity to add the number of cameras that we're looking to add. So this is a much more cost-effective way for us to increase our safety and security while we still have capacity in our existing infrastructure. It ensures that we don't have to then go through the complete upgrade. I believe we had budgeted something like $45,000 for a more full upgrade. This is $8,000. So this will get us another couple of years with our existing system. It will eventually need to be replaced. The software and the hardware will become technologically obsolete and will need to be replaced. But this ensures that we get at least another 5 years or so out of that. We're looking to add some additional cameras, so 2 inside the building. We're planning on putting them so that they are angled towards each of the entrances, the one on Conway and the one on Haverford. And then the exterior cameras we were looking at putting on the field house for the bathrooms to see that side of the building. We have had some vandalism in the past, and so this would ensure that we can have some eyes on that side. If there are any vandals that come, we can hopefully determine who that is, and as well looking out over the basketball courts. So we currently have good coverage in the parking lot and the public works bays, but we're looking to expand kind of to the field house areas to get a more complete picture of that side of the parking lot, the courts, and then facing towards Wynwood, looking out from the bathrooms.
Exterior.
Exterior, yes. These are not angled into the bathroom. Similarly, the cameras on the inside of the building, depending on where they end up going specifically, if we have them in the common bathroom vestibule where the admin and the police doors are, they would not be facing into the bathrooms, they would be facing out into the hallway.
Any questions, concerns?
I did just want to note that we do have a CCTV camera policy in place, and that's just to ensure that that the cameras are being used appropriately and that it's for public safety and that they won't be misused in any way. So it outlines things like public notice regarding the installation, who can access the footage. And how long the footage can be stored, things like that. And I just want to provide just a little bit of background information that Parks and Rec also discussed this back in 2023, and this was in response to like a series of vandalism events that were occurring around Narberth Park. And if I remember correctly, I think Jeff had mentioned that it was costing the borough upwards of like $10,000 a year in terms of repairs and maintenance. So hopefully this will bring down those costs, and I don't know, it may also bring down the cost for liability insurance as well. So yeah, I'm supportive.
Yeah, thank you, Jean, and certainly, we will abide by the policy in terms of whatever notice and postings, and then retaining any information, any video footage per the policy.
I did have a minor political point to pick here, which is that the order includes some Ubiquity products, and Ubiquity is currently part of the Russian Armed Forces drone armada. They are the major networking component for the Russian army. So in the future, I would encourage the borough not to do business with Ubiquity in any way, or have any purchases with that company. But at this point, we have everything's been specified, and it's a fairly minor part of the order. So I'm not going to stand in the way. But should it come up again, I I'll remind people of that fact. Hopefully when there's more time to look for alternatives. Anyway. Any other comments on the security cameras? Okay. Let's vote to approve the capital expenditure for the security cameras, to authorize it. All those in favor? Okay. Final consideration item is the road program.
I move that Borough Council approve the 2026 road paving program and authorize the borough engineer to bid the draft documents.
Second.
Okay.
And so following, we still use the engineer's review of the roadways from 2020 on top of our sewer inspection program that we've been doing. We have identified 0.57 miles of roadway to be paved this year. They include the 100 block of Conway, skipping over Windsor Avenue, Conway up to Sabine. We will be picking up Stewart, because if you recall, we paved Dudley Avenue in 2020 or 21, I believe. So it just makes sense to pick that up as we go. And we will also be paving Price Avenue from Dudley to the entrance at Price Crossing there. Represents about 10,000 square yards, 15 manhole lids and frames that we'll swap out this year, 10 ADA ramps. We will need to install a sewer manhole vault on Stewart Avenue. Currently, we have no access to that sewer main. So if there's ever an issue there, we need to dig a hole. I'd rather spend the 12 grand now, and get that in the ground. But that will be paid out of a separate account. So we're looking to get this out early so we can advise residents. As we ran into last year, we got some short heads up from the contractor that they wanted to start. Some folks were on vacation, so we wanted to get this in front of you all, get the blessing. We'll start to mail stuff out to the residents, advising, if you do go on vacation, please leave a key either with, chief here, with a neighbor, a friend, a family member that could potentially move your car. Question about the faith?
We're still operating off of Pannoni's analysis of the condition of the roads. At what point are we going to need to revisit that, or potentially start taking into account other factors than what came in from Pannoni?
I've just been relying on, our current staff here, that's on these roads. I often joke that the roads don't self-improve. I think it'd be wise in the next few years to potentially, just scan them again. I've also looked at the software, buying it ourselves, because I believe the software is like $5,000 or $6,000, and it just mounts to the front of a vehicle and you just drive the road. So we could serve.
I feel like we paid Pannoni significantly more than that, so that might be the best option down the road. Okay.
Can I, just a minor question, that Lantwin Lane is not on this map?
It's private.
It's private.
It's private.
It is?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure?
Well, now that you say it like
Yeah,
that.
I kind of thought that it was, I thought it was private.
Landsman, they do their own shoveling. They had it paved a couple of years ago.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I know they definitely have it all plowed, and I know they definitely paved it not that long ago.
Okay.
Well, if they paved it, then
Yeah, that's
not us.
Yeah, that's a newer. I mean, I can text someone right now.
Just curious.
Confirm that one.
No.
It might have been you. I thought it was private, then I thought I heard someone say that.
There's
the third one.
They married.
Hanson Court, Norman. Nothing.
Yeah, because they chain it off. They start
Welsh. All the Welsh.
So there's a one here somewhere.
They have to
Lantwin, Norman.
It's not
Norwin is off here, North Windwood. Lantwin is between.
They redid.
Iona.
Missing all the
anything
Welsh
else?
names.
No, it's, I'm 99.5% positive that
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was just double checking, the ones that we adopted last year was Foxhall, Narwin, and Hampstead.
Yeah.
Right.
So Lantwin is a private.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or concerns? It's good to get this out of the way. All right, let's vote to approve the 2026 road program. All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Information items, monthly reports are in the packet. Committee reports. FNA?
Sure. Okay, so we had a bunch of things. FNA met on Tuesday, because our new meeting time is Tuesday mornings, the Tuesdays that precede the business meeting, at 11 a.m. And we had a zoning recodification update from Todd Bressie, who they've submitted a full draft to Planning Commission for review. They've at least seen it at their last meeting, and they expect to be reviewing it again in their March meeting. He described a bit of the way it has been reordered according to district for readability. It's what's the word? Policy neutral. There's nothing new being added to the zoning code under this review. But it should be reorganized for readability and formatting. But it's a big job. They're describing, he's going through it with Adam Chance, the MCPC. Let's see what else we have here. They're working on internal cross-referencing links. They're working on new tables. What else can we see here? He said, Fred, you asked a very good question, is how can you be sure that everything from the old code is getting into the new code?
You had a good answer for that.
Yeah, Todd is describing like a meticulous process, a lot of work, where he has a copy of the old zoning code and is just crossing everything off word by word.
That sounds like a very good approach to me.
Yeah.
I thought that was
so
very careful. So I was impressed by that.
Todd's doing a ton of work, he should be commended for that at some point, because Todd works for free. We'll be seeing that soon. So pay attention first to Planning Commission, is where we'll first see that. We also have finalized, or we're about to finalize our boards and commissions reporting structure. We're going to add one more thing to the memo we're putting together, and I guess we'll bring it back here next month for final, but it reflects our discussion that we had here at this meeting last month. Let's see, our EIT FAQ, we turned in some questions that I wrote and Mike Salmonson wrote over to Maggie, and we're going to sort of get that going and get Berkheimer to respond to them and see if we can put them together into a supplementary FAQ.
That's timely. I mean, we want to get that up by April. So if we can get that up next month, that would be great.
Right. I don't know if we can or not. I mean, we envision this as kind of a rolling thing so that, if anybody else has questions, once they see these start to bubble up, and if your particular question is not there, I think we're always going to be able to submit new ones.
I'd suggest that whatever we have, if we can get it up before people submit their taxes, that would be best. And then, we want it to be right.
I don't know about our prospects for doing that, so sorry, I don't know. And the only other thing I wanted to say is that we intend to start looking at the shade tree ordinance next month.
Okay.
And I think that's going to turn out to be a broad discussion, even here on council, what we might, what do we want the Shade Tree Commission to do? What do we want them, what is their charge? Because currently they have no charge. And the ordinance desperately needs updating.
Okay. Just as an admin note, so once Planning Commission finishes their recodification discussion, it'll come over to us. I don't know if that's going to be next month or a month after. It's really going to depend on when they finish, when they feel ready to send it along, when they feel like it's fully baked out of their committee. So possibly that'll be on next month's business meeting agenda. Cindy and I have talked about so this is content neutral, right? The planning commission discussion is content neutral. They have identified as well some content issues that they think might be addressed. We've talked on council about some relatively minor content changes that we might make at that time as well. So are people up for having a discussion on potentially on some content as well as the content neutral stuff potentially next month? Everybody comfortable with that? We'll be talking mostly about some minor changes to the 5B district, allowing keeping the height the same, but allowing 4 stories, and making some changes to what would be permitted on the ground floor. There are changes that we've discussed in council, and I think everybody, as far as I know, is broadly in support of these. We would potentially put those on the agenda along with the recodification, just to move some of these items forward fairly quickly. Pretty comfortable with that?
For another question, what is, I'm not familiar with the terms content neutral and content not.
So content neutral just means that there's no change from the status quo. So the recodification is reorganizing and cleaning up language, but the intention is that it doesn't change the law. Like anything that was legal under the old code is still legal, anything that's not permitted is still not permitted. So content neutral just means it doesn't have any substantive effect on our regulations.
Yeah, to give you like a sense, like there have been many changes since the new code was adopted. And sometimes amendments inserted things in odd places. Sometimes things that are related are spread out in different portions of the code. And sometimes provisions that are effective or just kind of buried in the middle of the paragraph. So a lot of those sorts of, cleaning up those sorts of items has been the genesis of the recodification.
So they found things that are missing. They found, well, you could build this building in this district, but we don't have rules for it. We don't have the specifications for it. So they found things that really ought to be in the code that aren't there, as well as some areas where they think we might want to change our approach in some way or another. So I think we'll see what they think is kind of a no-brainer on their end. Like what is missing in the current code that needs to be in there? What kind of definitions do we need to have? So I think we might have that in parallel with the recodification, which is purely status quo. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. And your question was then?
Are we comfortable with proceeding with both of these things at the same time? With proceeding with the recodification and also proceeding with some of these other changes that are not content neutral? Are we good with that? Okay.
Yes.
So as soon as we get the recodification on our, we will also ask them, allow them to recommend other things that they think are non-controversial that we can proceed with at that time.
This is for discussion, not action.
Well, the recodification, it'll come to us and then we can decide what to do with it. I mean, if people want to keep discussing it or if continue to have concerns, we can keep talking about it, or we can advertise it, depending on what people feel. I don't know how much discussion we'll want to have. So,
yeah, and I think
potentially we could act on it, is what I'm saying.
In terms of the bucket of things that are non-content neutral, but potentially there's consensus on, Todd had flagged something at our committee meeting that they had included in there because that's the way it's written in the code, and we can have a discussion on it later on. But it's potentially something that could be part of the cleanup.
Okay.
The short version of it is, if we all remember the dentist office that we approved.
Yeah.
When we did the review on that, when I was on planning commission, we realized that because of the odd way that our code is written, because the base code of it is a form-based code, it had intended to allow the forms of buildings to match our current form, but it may have inadvertently put everything into a straitjacket. So the problem we ran into in that was someone was coming in and wanted to reuse the existing building, which was a triplex before for a dentist office. And the code said, oh, well, that's now a mixed-use building. Now you have to completely change the facade of the building. You have to do all these things that you couldn't do if you were trying to preserve the building in the historic district. So we had passed a quick fix to that at the time, but that underlying tension's never been resolved.
Okay.
Todd brought that up, just wanted to flag that as potentially a thing that goes in that bucket since.
Okay.
Is it the goal to ultimately just approve one ordinance with the cleanups and anything that's been changed?
If we're ready to do that, I mean, if assuming the timeline, I mean, obviously it's better for us to advertise one ordinance. So that would be better if we're ready to move it forward. So I think we'll see how the discussion proceeds.
But my
Other than
own-
to bring it up.
go ahead.
No, good.
My only comment to underscore would be, because I don't want snippets of what you said to be taken out of context, is that we're not fast tracking anything in 5B. We're not changing the height requirement. That 45 feet will remain in 5B with this with the recodification, and that you're really essentially only changing the heights of ceilings. Right? So it's 4 stories, but it's the same 45.
It's the same height that's currently
Yeah,
allowed.
so I just kind of want to underscore, we heard you loud and clear. This is a response to that and us trying to problem solve that it is not increasing the height in 5B with this.
Substantive changes will be at the open house,
Right,
and that will be on a different track.
right.
And folks should come to the open house and continue to engage, and there will be ample opportunity for folks to come to council and engage on that as well.
And that's not happening there right now.
That is a separate
Yeah.
thing. And so I think that when we had always discussed the recodification, we knew that there might be, and the reason why we're talking about this like a lot, because I think like if people watch it, like, why are they talking about this so much if it's not substantive? The reason why we're flagging this is to be really clear with the community. When we said we were doing a content neutral recodification, we meant it. And so there are probably a number of things that are relatively small that like you wouldn't even know the difference, but we're flagging those separately in order to keep faith with people that it is truly content neutral, and that if we do want to address some of the issues or make some kind of changes, we have those in a bucket and it's flagged. And that's, I think, why we're talking about this. Plus there's an actual substantive conversation of larger changes that's going on this separate track through the open house and through public meetings that we've been discussing for a year already, that was also picking up on prior conversations before that.
So we do have other zoning proposals that would allow potentially more height and more density, and those will be a topic at the open house next week. So if you'd like to listen to or learn more about our ideas, this, you know, we're focusing mostly on the 5B and the 4A. Is that right? Have I got it right? Okay, so Montgomery Avenue and the area around the downtown. We have some proposed zoning changes for those areas. In addition, there's going to be a discussion about affordable housing in general, and specifically, Narberth's current market situation.
It just suited other.
Sorry, the owl turned off.
It is the owl. Yeah, the owl does eat. And there'll be an opportunity for people to talk to planning commissioners, talk to council members, and express their opinions on these topics. So that'll be next week, and we'll continue to publicize that through Borough communications. And thanks to our planning commissioners and to our MCPC planners who helped put that together. All right, let's move on to their committees. And then,
I'm going to follow up, I'm sorry. Regarding since we're talking about the open house, are there documents that the public can review in advance of the open house to be, fully educated on the proposals?
what are we going to have in advance, Maggie?
I don't believe we will have those things in advance.
Okay.
The posters are being printed, as I understand it, in large format, to be intended to have stickers and Post-its and drawings and things adhered to them, so we don't have those necessarily ahead of time. However, I can speak with our MCPC planner to see if we can draft those materials as a packet that we can post online, either I'm not sure if we'd have them available prior to, but we can have them available possibly after Thursday, so we can have those posted. So I will ask him what the availability of that would be.
And, all right, and are all of like any of the memorandums that we've gotten from Planning Commission on the page as well?
I mean, anything that comes from Planning Commission would have been either in the Planning Commission packets or the public packet, so.
I meant like because we have like the web page where some of the things are stored on. There's like a zoning amendments web page on the site, so I wasn't sure if because it'll be hard for people to find like the packets because you'll need to know what. And so I wasn't sure if we could just put things on that page and people have one.
We should probably put Planning Commission's suggestions to us, their official recommendations to us on those
That's
two
what you're talking about.
zoning
That's
areas
right. Yeah.
on that website. So
Yeah.
let's try to get that up over the next few days.
And
Well,
like that, yeah.
when possible, let's try to get that.
Yeah,
I realize our borough manager will be departing very shortly, but
Just for a few days.
got it.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Let's not traumatize the community.
Seriously, I was gonna say,
Thank
I'm
you
not
for that
leaving
clarification.
employment,
No,
I'm just going away for a few
it just
days.
might slow down putting information on them. So
well,
let's try to get those two things, if we have them, up on.
So let me just clarify what you're asking for then. So you're requesting then the.
Planning Commission's most recent recommendations for those two zoning districts, right? They sent us
So-
their official recommendations.
Yeah,
Summarized,
Yeah.
in a letter, right? I think that's probably the clearest way to.
Yeah, in the Planning Commission annual report that we approved, it says on page 3, in November 2025, the Planning Commission formally recommended the following to the Borough Council.
Yeah, so
For
I
the
think we've
5
got that
zoning
letter,
districts.
that letter for
Yeah.
November 20th. We can
Yeah, I
put
think that'll
that.
be really helpful.
Yeah, we'll just
Okay.
get those two Planning Commission letters. Those are they approved them, those are official from them, so.
yep, okay, perfect. And you want them on the planning commission page?
Well,
There's a zoning amendments web page where
yeah,
these things
let's
are.
put it up there.
You want them on the zoning amendments?
I figure it's just
It's not
easy
zoning
for
amendments though.
or what there's a.
I mean, just the planning commission.
Why don't you find the page you're talking about, Mike, and you can
we
tell
have-
Maggie what it is.
Because we have our zoning ordinance updates page,
Maybe that's it.
which,
Then it's that one. Though there is a page that was set up specifically to house these things.
Yeah, it's on the front page, zoning ordinance update, that's it. So we'll
yeah,
put it up
okay,
there.
so that one's actually housed under our building and zoning, and then zoning ordinance, and then we have our zoning ordinance
Yeah, I'm not the zoning
updates,
ordinance
so the
update.
Yeah, it
recodification,
has,
Yeah.
like,
So-
zoning text amendments.
No, you're not planning
So
commission.
so we have a summary, so this was the summary, like the projected timeline that we
Right.
had
The planning
drafted.
commission also has
Right.
zoning updates.
I'd suggest that for the
That probably brings.
webpage that talks about the open house,
Yeah,
maybe having a link to that document
Yeah.
on
okay.
the open house website.
All right, so
Just to make it easy.
Mike, why don't you like write this up as a memo and send it to Maggie and Emily, and then does that work for everybody? Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get that posted. So anything that you have specifically, otherwise we'll just make best judgments on where to post things.
Okay.
So we'll make sure, and then I'll follow up, like I said, with Adam Shantz to see the open house materials, when those are available, we'll have them posted. So we'll update that website that talks about the zoning ordinance amendment generally to make sure that those are all pulled from the packets and are linked directly.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Fred, real quick, 5 to 10 minutes ago, you used the word things that are non-controversial. There's no way you'll remember saying that, but
Sure.
I just, is non-controversial and content neutral, are those synonyms for each other, or does non-controversial mean something else?
I think that these are an area where all of council at least is is agreed that these are reasonable changes. So when I say non-controversial, I mean not likely to lead to lengthy council discussion and
Got it.
potentially
Thank
could move quickly. I think things that are, the council members have indicated discomfort about or have told me they're not happy with, those are going to take longer, and those are not really appropriate for trying to fast track.
Thank you.
So that was my thought there.
Appreciate that.
mention one more thing from FNA, that Planning Commission submitted their annual report for 2025. It is in our packet tonight.
Yep.
And it's a very short capsule summary of what they did in 2025, but it's good reading. So I recommend everyone have a look.
Okay, thank you. Infrastructure. It's not here, but
Yeah, so we actually, most of the things that we discussed, we covered tonight.
Okay.
So that was our first meeting, and we're already making recommendations and being accepted by council. So we're off to a good start.
All right. Public health and safety.
So Public Health and Safety met February 13th. And we covered the Police Advisory Committee resolution already. We discussed the vegetation maintenance program, and that is focusing on public safety and walkability, and addresses overgrown vegetation that impacts our sidewalks and sight distances at intersections. So that notification was included with the tax bill, and so the general approach is going to be education and outreach first to encourage compliance, and then followed by enforcement and citations if necessary. And then Chief String also reported on snow removal enforcement related to the snow emergency. So there were significant improvements in snow zone parking compliance. The violations were reduced from 70 last year to 12 this year, so that's a big improvement.
That's people parking and not moving their cars.
And snow emergency routes.
All right, so let's keep that up as a reminder. And Sunday, right? Sunday night?
Sunday day.
Sunday day. All right, storm expected Sunday day if we issue the announcement.
Right.
Be ready to move your car.
There has also been improvements in sidewalk clearing compliance. There were 86 warnings issued last year. And then this year there were 34 sidewalk clearing citations. So that's an overall improvement in compliance. And we already covered the snow removal efforts from the Public Works. And then staff is also working together with the to develop a comprehensive snow response plan. And then just an update on Shade Tree Commission. The Shade Tree Commission's spring planning is temporarily put on hold until we resolve an issue with funding the trees outside the public right of way. So since then, the funding has been secured through Friends of Narberth Green Initiatives, which met on Tuesday. So following that meeting, the board agreed to fund all non-right-of-way trees planted during the spring and fall shade tree plantings events. So FONGI plans to launch a website and a donation link on it that will be able to collect donations. And also at the meeting, direction was given to explore options for residents to be able to contribute financially to support those non-right-of-way trees. So essentially donating towards that. And I also heard from Shade Tree Commission that they're exploring other funding options as well. Right now, it looks like the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society deadline has actually passed for ordering the trees, but they can still order through a private contractor on relatively short notice. So they will decide at their meeting in March whether they're going to move forward with the spring planting or just put that on hold until the fall. And then EAC, an appeal has been filed challenging the PUC Commission's denial of the community choice aggregation petition. So that is officially filed. And also the Environmental Advisory Committee expressed interest in assisting with community outreach for the upcoming gas-powered leaf blower regulation ordinance, which I believe we're ready to advertise. I'm not sure what the schedule is. Is that next month?
Yeah, so we had said we were gonna wait on that to see kind of where we wanted to go with it, but it sounds like we're interested in moving on it. So if you'd like for it to go back before any committees for review and discussion. We can discuss that and that can go on a committee. If council's ready to move forward with the authorization to advertise, then we'll put that on for the March business meeting.
I think we already voted to advertise.
Yeah, I think we're ready to advertise. We can put it back on
Great,
and just
yeah.
confirm again our desire to advertise it. Just need to make sure that the deadlines work since it got delayed. Deadlines on it are reasonable. I
Yeah,
don't remember
we can
what the dates
double,
are.
yeah, in terms of when the effective
When
date.
everything kicks in, just make sure it
Yeah, we'll
makes
double
sense.
check that.
Okay.
Also, Chief String shared results from a recent traffic study on the 200 block of Price Avenue. The findings indicate that there's no systemic speeding issue on that block. So they monitored over a 4-week period. There's 27,100 vehicles monitored, and the typical speeds were 16 to 17 miles per hour. 85th percentile speeds were 21 to 22. And there were 2 enforceable speeding violations.
2 out of 27,000.
Right. So speeding is rare. And then finally, the Parks and Rec Board will hold its annual Parks User Meeting on March 10th at 7 p.m. And this is the meeting that just confirms the park usage for 2026 and discusses their needs and explores how the borough can support and includes open discussion to see how the borough can support them.
All right.
And that's all.
I'll make one addition to the conversation about the 200 block of Price. Absolutely true, 2 out of 27,000 would have been a speeding violation. However, there's still a sense among the residents there that even though it's not speeding, it's not safe. And so as follow-up, there's going to be exploration of what is it that feels unsafe. And I don't get the sense that we're done just because speeding is not the issue.
Yeah, I think there were concerns raised about sight lines and also just the conflicts due to the narrowness of that road. But yeah, what the traffic study confirmed that it wasn't a speed issue, but
Right.
other issues.
Right. So what is the issue is still potentially an open question.
Okay. I do want to thank Fonji for stepping in and offering to fund some shade trees so that we can continue to offer the same services the Shade Tree has done in the past. So hopefully they'll be able to arrange something for the spring. Otherwise, big fall planting, right? Or they have when's their second?
November,
Okay.
before Thanksgiving.
All right. Thanks. New business or old business? Comments for the good of council?
Yeah, 2 things. I forgot to mention the Narberth Civic Association potluck is Sunday. There is some discussion on whether the snow will postpone that or not, so stay tuned. It'll be on social media. And if you're not on social media,
And the
I will
Flash.
call and tell you.
The
And
Flash.
the Flash.
Yeah, they're gonna put it in the weekly newsletter.
Cool.
Ask the office.
And then the second one was just a quick note that I got an email from someone who said that they were from Narberth and wanted to meet. So I talked to them, so I said yes. The next day they said, "Oh, we are from Narberth, Wales." I was like, so I apologize for not letting all of you know because I found that out literally 2 hours before they were here. Met with them and they want to talk about how to set up an exchange of some sort or like a plaque with both of our histories, and I'll carry that conversation forward and then bring something to the group.
We need a portal.
I was just gonna
Seriously?
Come on, Dana.
Yeah,
You're a
Dave,
tech guy,
tech
make it
guy,
happen.
get that
Make it happen.
done. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
So I apologize for not making a bigger deal out of it, but I didn't piece together that it was Narberth, not Narberth. Next time, I promise.
We do, like every couple of years, I get email from Narberth, Pembrokeshire. That's
Yeah.
just the first time it took me a long time to figure it out. Like, what is this? And then it clicked, but now I'm
It
ready
is
for it.
fun. I love when
Yeah.
we get complaints and you think they're Narberth here and then.
Yeah, we got complaints. My favorite was
It's
complaints
awesome.
about teenagers drinking on the high street.
Yeah, and they were tinkling. too, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, those teenagers were naughty.
One more interesting thing about this couple is they own a cafe in Narberth that is mission-driven,
Ah,
similar to Get Cafe, but this is for people dealing with depression and suicide and some things like that. So it was really cool to take them to Get Cafe and have a coffee there and talk. So if you ever get email from Stopio, I don't know how you say it in Welsh, but it's Stopio. Same sort of thing as Get Cafe, same concept.
Okay.
right.
Cool.
All right. Any other comments? All right, we will have an executive session after this meeting to talk about a personnel matter. I believe that's the only topic for executive session. Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, seconded. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor of adjourning? All right, thanks. Thank you, Jason. We are adjourned. Take a minute or two and